all set? Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We're the Owatonna School Board. It's Monday. It's the 11th of July, 5:30. This is a regular meeting for us tonight. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Eric?
Missing Laurie and Chase, our student rep.
All right, very good. Folks, would you please rise and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up tonight would be to approve our agenda. We'll entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Next up would be public forum. Sarah, do we have any cards? No cards for tonight. All right. Item 5 tonight would be nothing that requires action, all discussion. First would be board forum. Jolene, I'm going to start down on your end. Anything for board forum?
No, not tonight.
Deborah?
Nope.
Tonight I am going to, for board forum, I'm going to pass out to each of you the contact information for your city council members. And this is just a quick reminder, the Night to Unite is coming up in
August 2nd.
Thank you. August 2nd. And in the past, I've been able to and have had an opportunity to ride with Kevin Rainey, who's the representative for my district, and I would encourage you, if time permits and you have a contact with somebody in your district, give them a call and see if the two of you can hit a couple of the places. I think, people are just genuinely interested in knowing what's going on in the schools, and it's nice to be out and to meet with folks that way. Eric, I'm going to pass it off to you.
I have nothing for me.
Tim?
Nothing for me.
Vicki?
So just a reminder, Thursday at 6 p.m. is a virtual District 1 meeting, so I would encourage all of you to attend that. And then you got a flyer as well about the virtual MSBA conference. So it looks like there's some nice topics in there. And they'll also be reminding everybody to submit any of their board legislation for delegate assembly, which will also be coming up. So if anything is on the forefront of your mind,
There's the chance.
there is your chance.
All right.
Nothing for me.
How's your summer, Haley?
Mine's doing pretty good.
Good. We're going to move on. Item 5A1 would be policy revisions. Policy revisions were a part of your board packet. Did not appear as there were a lot of changes that were made in these particular policies, but we do have policy members here. Anybody have any questions regarding the policy changes? We're going to move on. Tonight, as we had talked about before, Mr. Elstad is in Washington, D.C., lobbying on our behalf, and in his stead, we have Michelle Krell here to fill in. Thank you very much, Michelle, for stepping in tonight.
Absolutely.
You got a couple of updates for us.
Yeah, I just wanted to update you. Obviously, summer is in full swing, not only out and about, but in our schools. And so I just wanted to report, we have a variety of summer school programs that are going on. I did a little tally. We have 624 students that are currently enrolled in summer school programs, which include K-Camp, which would be some students that are coming, our incoming kindergarten students are coming and getting some time in the classroom prior to starting kindergarten. We have a K-8 summer school program that's going on right now. We have extended school year for students who receive special education services. And then we have migrant ed programming that's also going on. Right now I think we have 68 students of migrant status that are with us right now, and then we wrapped up credit recovery in June. So it's great to see that we're able to provide this extended opportunity for our students. With that, of course, that means staff. So we have about 85 staff right now working in those particular programs to support the students that are coming to school. And then on top of that, we also have 78 students that are in school age care. And then our community ed program has done an outstanding job of providing Tana Trailblazer camps, different classes for students, And so when we look at the multitude of classes that we're offering, we have 765 students who are participating in some sort of a camp or class this summer. And then, of course, our nutrition services, we heard from them last month and how busy not only the school year is, but the summer. And our summer program is off and running. So in the first month, from June 6th to July 6th, they had served 1,241 breakfasts, 4,825 lunches. And now that summer school is in full swing, they're serving, hundreds of students a day on a daily basis for breakfast and lunch. So kudos to all those people. And then in addition to that, we have lots of staff that are working on curriculum writing or working, getting extra workshops or classes as well. So summer is a busy time for us in the school district, and not everybody would realize that. So just kudos to all the students and staff that are taking the time, to do some learning and participation in events this summer.
Good.
So,
Thank you.
yes, you're welcome.
Typically, we don't have the benefit, or let me rephrase. Often we have the benefit of Bob Olson here, and tonight he is in fact here on another issue. And as long as he's here, the high school is taking great shape. And so I've asked Bob if he'd give us just a quick update on the high school.
Thanks for that great introduction. Love it. Give you a brief update. I think there was an article in the newspaper here this weekend, or just a couple days ago. I didn't get a chance to see it yet, but we're doing the best we can to keep our public informed with everything that's happening with our website. And then monthly meetings with the paper to get everything out there, plus the drone flyovers that we have through Kraus Anderson and their updates that they're doing. But I'll tell you what, I was gone for about 1 week from on site. When I walked out last Wednesday, I got up to the 3rd floor, which in the past was just concrete floor and nothing out there. And I turned the corner and my eyeballs got about this big. There were almost all the walls were framed up with the studs on the 3-story side of it. So if they continue with the progress like that in 1 week, get each of those things done, we're going to be sitting pretty well. But we are ahead of schedule. We are on budget right now. There's a lot happening, a ton happening. First floor is all dirt still, but it is all torn up because they're putting in all the pipes for the plumbing and the electrical and everything that's going on in there. So they will start working from the top, 3rd floor, and work their way down. 3rd floor will be, they have light switches and they have door frames and everything going in right now. Windows won't be in for a while, but they will be boarding them up on the 1st floor because it's a nice big school. People want to go out there and see it, and we are noticing that some people are breaking in or walking across the fields at night and trying to look around. It's a very dangerous place to have people. So we're boarding things up. We're going to board up the stairwells to make sure we're safe and everybody's supposed to be there. So that's on the 3-story area. The Commons is coming along great. It's going to be fantastic when you see it. The ceiling will be about 55 feet high, and when you walk in, it's going to be a sight to see it. The kids are going to absolutely love going to school there. Down the auditorium, I believe they're putting in some pipes and plumbing and stuff in there, and believe it or not, there's plumbing that goes down underneath that as well. So. That's going in. The gymnasium, I noticed the walking track, they're starting to put that down, the frame anyway, and the metal railings, and then I believe within the next month they'll start pouring the floor for the walking track to go all the way around it. So it's starting to look like a school instead of just a big building that's wide open. So locker rooms they're all brick walls, and that's our storm shelter that the legislatures made us put a storm shelter in there to make sure we could keep everybody safe in case of a tornado. That is not necessarily done, but it's all up and all the brick walls are in, so things are moving along great. What people see right now is the site. You'll see the stadium, you'll see the softball diamonds. I noticed the goalposts went up for football on the practice fields the other day. Artificial turf and regular turf, they'll start doing grass here later on in the summer and have that could be ready to play in the fall, but we will not be playing in the fall because we don't have occupancy. But it'll look like we could play, but we can't because we don't have everything else ready to go. So Kraus Anderson, our construction managers, have been doing a fantastic job of keeping everything on schedule. And when things do go a little bit behind schedule on certain contractors, they're making some phone calls and they're doing their due diligence on our behalf. So everything else right now looks great. And I bet
I
you
have
have
a
a question
question.
on
Yes.
that. Yes.
Okay, so that's new high school. Where are we at with the process with this high school?
Current high school?
And the gentleman that came a couple months ago? 'Cause
Yep, so
we're-
Paul Warschauer and Grand Venues is the
Yep.
name of the company
Yes,
that we're
thank
working
you.
with.
Yep.
We have met with them 3 times. We've hired a survey crew to actually do a survey of this whole entire site to make sure we know where all the utilities are, because eventually, we are already planning right now, the school district is moving our district office over here, the gymnasium, and the egg building. So we are in preliminary design discussions with Wold Architects. We actually have a meeting with them tomorrow at 9 o'clock. And the administrative cabinet went and looked at other school districts and other buildings that have had offices that might look a little different than what we currently have, to see how do we wanna design the C tower. So we are moving ahead on that aspect. As for where Paul's at in Grand Venues, I don't know exactly where they're sitting right now, but we have some pretty good ideas on things that they wanna bring into this building. So it's not like it's just, hey, we're gonna try to do something and we're gonna move on. I believe they're gonna come forward in about 3 months. I think it's November 11th is our 6-month date.
Yep.
I believe they'll come forward with something, and then it'll be our decision or your decision as a school board to decide, do we wanna move forward with that or do something different. But it is moving forward, and it's been going pretty well.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Bob, thanks a
I
lot.
have a question for you
sure.
too. I still want a tour.
You do,
Um,
okay. We're waiting for the bottom floor to get totally cemented, and then I'll be happy to give you a tour.
I'm not really familiar with artificial turf. How does it go through the seasons? I mean,
It just sits out there like our pavement does on your driveway, and when the snow gets on it, what you can do is we don't like to plow snow on artificial turf, because you can catch it and then it'll rip up, and it's like a carpet, basically. Let the snow melt, and the nice thing about artificial turf is when the snow is melted, and you get on there with it's almost like a rake. You gotta rake it and get the crumb rubber, is what it is. Once the snow's gone, they can start practicing on it. So our students will be able to get out there, and our athletes to get out there a lot earlier onto the fields than if they have to wait for the frost to get out, and then all that to dry out, and then everything else to be ready to go.
so it has like little holes or something in it, so water goes
No,
down?
it actually is a carpet. It's an actual
Oh.
carpet. And the next time you're at the district office, stop in, I can show you a sample of it. 'Cause I got all the different colors laying right on the floor. But it's an actual carpet. It's made down in South Carolina at one of the Milliken carpet places, or companies. And then they put a small layer of sand on it, and then a layer of crumb rubber, ground up rubber, so it makes it softer and kids don't hurt their heads when they're on that. But then underneath that is sand, and then there's a drainage tiles that go under that, so when the water does go through, instead of just having it run off and domed it like the old ones used to be, or crowned it, and the water used to run off to the side, this will run actually straight down through, and then the tiles that are underneath will take the water away from the fields, and it's pretty intricate to see the design of that.
Okay. And in remodeling this building, will we have local people working on that?
Again, it all depends on if they're the low bidder or not. So we are a public entity, so when we go out for a project this large, we have to put it out for public bid. So if they're low bid, then yep, we will. That's law, bid law.
Any other questions?
Anything else? Thanks.
Thanks, Bob. Item 6 tonight is a consent agenda. The quick reminder, we are approving the minutes from June 20th as well as the personnel report. Anybody have any reason to believe that we should pull anything out, vote on separately? In which case, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Well, we'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Eric, if you would, please.
Joanne,
Aye.
Deborah,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Nikki,
Aye.
Tim, Aye. and I myself, an aye. 6-0 pass.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 7 tonight would be board action required, and the first one would be long-term facilities maintenance. I'm going to turn things over to Ms. Krell for some introductions.
Yes, we have Bob Olson here, Director of Facilities, to talk about our long-term facilities maintenance. This is something that annually we apply for, and we need to submit this to the Minnesota Department of Education. And so we actually have to have a 10-year adopted plan. So I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Olson.
Yep, thanks. Glad to be back. Every year we get to come do this. About 6 years ago, long-term LTFM dollars, long-term facility maintenance, came into effect, and it's really helped out the schools that are not the top 25 in the state to be able to get our deferred maintenance back up on track and keep our schools looking the way they do. So, as you can see, we've sent out the forms earlier. We have to have a 10-year plan, which is always funny because they want to know what we're doing for 10 years, but we have to do this every year. So, but that's just kind of a goofy thing in my eyes that I wonder about. But I'm asking you guys to approve our it'll be the 2023 fiscal year, to approve that this year, and then we will get that taken care of, send it up to the state of Minnesota, and then we should be good to go. So I don't have much more to say other than we'll just need an approval.
I have a question.
Yes.
So we have to do this every year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know off the top of your head what percentage of increase of your numbers for this year?
For revenue?
Yes, the expenditures versus last year.
It's
Just-
really steady, like around 1.9 million
Correct.
each year, so.
Oh, it is,
doesn't
okay.
change very much.
Okay, so you haven't seen
We
the
have not.
increase in construction prices and costs has not impacted this?
It hasn't impacted the money that we get
Significant.
to us. No,
Oh, well.
I know.
Yeah, so for the first 3 years, they phased in increases, it's based on a per
Okay.
pupil amount.
Yep.
And after those first 3 years, then it just stays the same,
Okay.
so the revenue we see, unless our enrollment increases, is very steady.
Okay, okay, thank you.
That's why when you'll see the 10 years out, a lot of them are just placeholders out there because we don't know what we're gonna need in 7 years. So then we'll redo it every single year, so, but good question.
Any other questions? Will one of you be kind enough to introduce this motion for us then?
I move that the board approve the long-term facilities maintenance plan for its facilities for 2022 through 2032.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions? All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Bob, thank you very much. Up next would be the resolution designating MedSurity LLC. And once again, I'm going to turn things over to Ms. Krull for some introductions.
Yes, so the district is used Further as our health reimbursement company. Further has become part of health equity and no longer services the Viva accounts. And so right now we have a resolution to designate MedSure LLC and Matrix Trust as the new health reimbursement arrangement trustee. And we have Amanda Heilman here to answer any questions that you might have. Amanda's our Director of Finance and Operations.
Mrs. Crowell covered it very well. Further came to us this past January, let us know that they were being acquired by Health Equity. Further, as many of you know, was formerly Select Account. And so they handled all of our voluntary employee beneficiary accounts, which is attached to our health insurance plans. And they're no longer going to be servicing that, so we had to find a new vendor to be able to service that. So we went through an RFP process in early May with National Insurance Services, our agent of record. And we came down to 2 proposals, one being MedSurity and one being WEX, the 2 vendors that we looked at. And then we brought that back to our insurance committee in late May, and we decided to go with MedSurity because they had the lower administrative fees, they had debit card. It was going to be the easiest transition for our employees because they could transfer our assets from Further directly into MedSurity. And so we will switch that over on 9/1, which is when our plan year starts over, so that it's the easiest transition for our employees, so.
Questions?
What does VIBA stand for?
Voluntary Employee Beneficiary Account.
Thank you.
Yep. And so essentially, it's an account that an employer can contribute to a trust on behalf of an employee. So it's part of our high deductible health insurance plan.
And so did the price, I know you mentioned you selected them because of the lower administrative costs. How did that compare to what we were previously paying?
It was exactly the same as what we are paying right now with the current vendor. So we didn't see any increases in that, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Deborah, do you have this queued up?
Yeah.
Would you please?
I move that the board approve the resolution designating MedSurity LLC and Matrix Trust as health reimbursement arrangement trustees.
Second.
Motion and a second. Eric, if you would, please.
Yes. Jolene?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Nikki?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
I myself is an aye. 6-0 pass.
Motion carries. Thanks. Item C tonight would be the resolution calling for the general election. Ms. Krell, one more time.
Yeah, so the Secretary of State's office sets a very specific timeline for notifying the county auditor's office on posting notices of election and publishing notices. So the school board must pass a resolution calling for an election so that the election clerk is able to meet these deadlines. So attached is a resolution. We have 4 members that terms will be expiring in December. Nikki Giesecke, Jelaine Mose, Mark Sebring, and Lori Weisenberger. The filing dates are August 2nd through the 16th.
Questions? We do this every 2 years. Eric, do you have the motion queued up?
Yeah. I move that the board approve the resolution relating to the election of school board members and calling, whoop. Hang on a minute, I lost it. School members and calling the school district general election.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Eric, if you would.
Yep. Jolene?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Nikki?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And I myself is an aye. 6-0 pass.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item D would be the policy revisions. We had a first reading at our last meeting, had a good opportunity to ask questions. One same thing, we didn't have a lot of changes with those particular policies. We do have members from the policy committee here. One last time, any questions relative to that?
I've found myself wondering about some of the things for the graduating requirements. And I really should have
Anything in particular?
written down. What is meant by the approved standard? And
I
how-
can answer that question for you. So Minnesota Department of Education sets graduation standards for all students in the state of Minnesota. So students are required to meet standards in a multitude of areas, including especially the core: language arts, math, science, social studies, phy-ed, health, arts, and I think I got them all. But each of those areas are standards, and so what we do as a district then is we take those graduation standards, we embed them into courses that we're offering at the 9th through 12th grade level. And then students, as they take courses, receive credit for that, and they have to have 28 credits to be able to graduate from high school, from Owatonna High School.
Okay, I noticed something about world languages. Are they required to take a foreign language, or?
Right now, there are electives within those courses. So health, career and tech education, and world languages provide electives. A lot of colleges do require world languages for students, but those are part of our elective opportunities for students.
Okay. And how do you know that, this is touchy to ask, but how do you know if a student has actually met those standards? Yeah, I know they take these big tests, things that they do, and I haven't heard anything about scores and, how they compare to other students in Minnesota. I want to be sure that when they're graduating, they're really ready.
Yep. So our graduation standards are not based on any specific state standardized tests. So the MCAs are not connected to whether or not a student graduates from high school in the state of Minnesota. The standards, so when we look at standards for a particular course, teachers work together as curriculum teams. They write curriculum, they develop assessments so that they can show that students have mastered the particular standards within a course. And then based on whether or not a student masters those courses, they are given grades. And then we have a grading scale, A to F grading scale. And then students, anything with a D- or above, would receive a credit for that particular course, a credit or a half credit, depending on what the course offered.
Okay.
And I'm happy to anytime sit down and just go through all of that at a more detailed level and very specific if you'd like to,
I
Deborah.
would.
That would be great. Let's schedule a time then.
Any other questions on these policies? Tim, do you have this one queued up?
I move that the board approve the revisions to the policies as presented.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor with an aye? Any opposed? That motion carries. Item 7E tonight would be the ratification of the 2021-2023 tentative agreement with custodial employees. Ms. Krell.
Yeah, so Chris Peak and Amanda Hellman have worked closely with our custodial group, and they've come to an agreement, and that agreement is here in front of you. Both Chris and Amanda are here if you have any questions for them on the particular proposal.
Questions?
I noticed that for the year 22, 23, that the increase is retroactive to July 21.
So this is a.
Is
this
that
a-
be-
So the contract is for 21-22 school year and the 22-23 school year. So since we're essentially through the 21-22 school year, we retroactively are going to enforce the salary increases as of July 1 of 2020.
Okay. Yeah, those guys have had a lot to do the last couple of years with that pandemic.
Any other question? Yeah.
So, kind of along those same lines, so how does that affect employees who are no longer with the district? Do they have to be currently employed with the district for that to be enforced?
For retro, right now we will issue retro for anyone that was employed during those.
Okay.
during that.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Nikki, do you have this one queued up?
I do. I move that the board approve the 2021 to 2023 agreement with the Local 147, AFS, CME, AFLO, CIO, custodial employees, and authorize the chair and clerk to execute the agreement on behalf of the school board.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Eric, if you would.
Yep. Jolene?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Nikki?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And I myself is an aye. 6-0 pass.
Motion carries. Thank you. At this point in time, we need to move to a closed session. Eric, I'll ask you to introduce the motion for that, please.
I entertain, let's see.
Introduce.
I move that we end the open session.
Close the open session.
Close the open session to move to the closed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We will take just a second and get squared away. Ready to go? Thanks, Ian. Okay, Eric, if you would.
I move that we reopen the open session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. The first would be, sure, my computer just stopped. Would one of you be kind enough to introduce this motion?
I move that the board approve the resolution expelling, excluding the pupil identified in the attachments as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Eric, if you would.
Jolene?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Nikki?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
I myself is an aye. That's a 6-0 pass.
Motion carries. Second one, as long as you've got it queued up.
Yep. I move that the board approve the resolution expelling, excluding the pupil identified in the attachments as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Once again, any further questions? Hearing none. Eric, if you would, or,
Yep.
yeah, we have a motion and a second.
Jolene?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Nikki?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
I myself is an aye. 6-0 pass.
Motion carries. Thank you. At this point in the game, we will move to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, folks. Appreciate your time tonight.